General Certificate of Secondary Education. It's the sudden wake-up call that tells you to get your life together. No! Hello, peeps! And no, not you, Pikachu. Pika! And welcome to my corner of the internet. So, while COVID was busy mutating and all, your gal here was busy grinding away to get them sweet, sweet grade 9s. It's kind of a shame that with this whole 1 to 9 grading system, you can't make those meme jokes about how A equals average, B equals bad, C equals can't eat dinner for my good old Asian mindset and all. I guess the government really wanted to push numeracy as a priority. No wonder my English sucks. Now moving on to year 11, I think I was actually quite confident that I'd be able to drag myself through the heaps and heaps of content that was left. But oh boy, was the reality a fat slap in the face. Well, actually it was more like a bajillion paper cuts because it seemed like I didn't know how to deal with paper after months on the computer screen. You see, even though I was driven enough to keep going and complete all my online learning, I soon realized that the content that I did go through online just barely stuck in my brain. So when I was launched into a series of mock exams, not to mention the fact that my cortisol levels were shooting up because simultaneously I had to go and apply to them sixth forms. But I will say it was kind of my own fault for unnecessary applying to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 forms. See what I did there? 6 and sixth form. See, I think the application process actually really helped to build my application skills. Even though I really I kind of struggled through those admissions tests and writing personal statements and interviews. This is when I finally reflected upon my experiences and made me feel like a more confident speaker. Just kind of wished I didn't have to lose so many hours of sleep just to juggle all of that. That being said, I really only had one admissions test that was face-to-face, and all the rest of them were online. And I think that's kind of the reason why I got the conditional offers from the places that I applied to, because think about it, it's really it's so much easier to do a test in an environment that you're familiar with, your good old study desk table, instead of the usual random desk in some random hall with your competitors. Bit of a side note, but seriously, the more I think about it, the more our educational system actually seems like the Hunger Games. Then when 2021 was rolling in, bam! Another lockdown. But luckily, this time, both my school and me learned from our mistakes from the previous lockdown, and I actually had free time. Woo! Every evening, I would also teach everything I learned that day to my parents to consolidate my learning, and that was honestly the most fun I've had in revising. It just reminded me of the joys of learning. Woo! And not just cramming facts for the sake of an hour exam. I mean, maybe it's just Parkinson's law. And no, it's not some kind of physics reference. I mean, if I was to be completely honest, I don't know if I would have been able to do as well as I think I've done if I had done the proper GCSEs. Because to some extent, I feel a little privileged about how things went around this year. like despite all the uncertainty constantly like looming over me, like what's gonna happen, what they're doing now, tell me any information. I think it was a lucky advantage of having firstly the content down and also being able to and having like the assessments more spread out. So like the teachers also only taught the parts that were necessary for me to go on to the next step in further education. So I kind of really appreciate that I didn't have to cram so much into this tiny brain as I normally would have to. Never thought I'd be saying this, but I'm actually quite glad that I got the chance to actually have that test taking experience in the hall because I know that whatever I do in the future, I'm most likely gonna have to end up being in that kind of a similar test taking situation. So, it's hard to admit, but doing tests under pressure is a very underrated skill, and I'm glad to have been able to develop that this year, even like despite all the COVID nonsense going on. I also really, really appreciate all the work to all those lovely teachers out there who had the really tough and frankly heartbreaking job of deciding our grades. I'm glad that the people who knew me well were the ones who took, they took everything into account and not just one test on some random day. And now I'm just waiting for my final results. Although I would admit I haven't been as nervous or nerve-wracked about what my results are going to be than I thought I would. That's possibly because of the fact that I kind of know where I'm at with all the mock tests. My biggest concern now is actually where I would like to gear myself, like to what future I would like to walk towards. It's weird because when I think about it, I always have like, ooh, that seems like a cool dream career, and then suddenly something else comes up and like grabs my attention. Also sounds just as appealing. So with like a month to go, I'm still questioning my decisions. So indecisive. So thank you for just listening to my experience, I guess this video is about. And please do comment down below about your own experiences, because I want you to remember though that it's finally over. So just let it go, let it go. Remember to ring the notification bell for when I get the next video out and see what kind of random shebang I'm going to be doing next. Bye!